I once thought this was a big secret, but actually single do this over in Kronos chain. It's a technique called pseudo delta neutral. Um, so what you can do is you can borrow an asset and then you can sell through, particularly with seam forks. Yeah. So if something is strong like Ethereum or Bitcoin, you can simply borrow Bitcoin and then buy through to the shared token or single stake that token, and you will get the APY associated. The only problem is if it's extremely bullish and it goes up, then obviously you need to fund whatever your account is, Venus or Annex or whoever they are. So what I'm probably advocating now is there's an opportunity if you're interested in going into internal to seam forks, and there are two things you can do. You can either take relatively risk-free and then just borrow something like Ethereum, or you can buy Ethereum and then try and mine for Ethereum. Right? So at the moment, I'm advocating for this project, which is Gaur.Money, which is on Kronos. When you see something at this number, this is half of peg. Yeah? And then you can look at the liquidity, market cap, etc. It can move to peg quite easily with sufficient input. And then if you look at that, it tried to push at peg, it was sold at peg, and hasn't really sold off. It's just kind of ground. Yeah. So simply it needs some kind of ingestment, but your upside is then 50%. Not just with ETH. I mean, obviously ETH now is blue Heiken-Ashi, which means buy on the 4 hour. But just in terms of where it is to peg, it can go to there, and the protocol will support it moving to that particular point. Yeah. So sure, we had a bit of panic yesterday, but it really didn't sell off. And then if we then either buy ETH or we take the risk free and then deposit in something like Tectonic, and then buy through, then you're getting 0.5% today, which is pretty good. If you thought 20% with UST was good, and then that turns out not so good, obviously this is a good thing. So I'm going to base demonstration on moving from a BSC. So multi-chain does work. Multi-chain is probably the cheapest solution. There's also Evo DeFi, which is pretty good. Evo DeFi is probably a good option if you haven't been on Kronos chain before, because they actually include with the transactions. So if I just go to Evo. You can select source, BSC, and then target would be Kronos. And then you can send any of these across, right? So what do we want to do? They're sending you a bonus 2 Crow with every single transaction. So you can actually swap once you get to the opposite chain. Tell you what I can do. I can go to Firebird on BSC. I've got one BNB here. I'll swap to ETH. You can do either here, right? Okay, let me do this option, USDC, because I can swap with USDC and send USDC or USDT. Yeah. Here we are. And I can do max. Swap that. Confirm that. So I've gone to app.firebird.finance. I've had some BNB. I'm on BSC chain and I've swapped that to USDC. And what I want to do, once that's done, pending. See where that is. It's really done. All right. Approve USDC. Confirm that. And send it. All right, so that's sent. So as I said, the advantage if you're first time on Kronos, using EBD5 will give you 2 Pro. So you can at least do a swap. Yeah. So again, you can use Firebird on Kronos. So if I then pull across to Kronos, and then I was going to take a deposit of USDC, and then I'm going to swap that to a little bit of Cro. So we're just waiting for this to happen. While we do that, I can show you Tectonic. There are 2 lending systems internal to Kronos of note. There's Tectonic, which is probably the larger, more established, and there's Annex, who you probably know from BSC, so you can use either. I can just use Tectonic here possibly because I'm just going to go get some Cro. I've got that swap going. We did also discuss Annex or Tectonic. I've actually done the approval for USDC internal to Tectonic, so that should be ready to go. I'm just waiting for this to finish approving. It's nice and quick this morning. Okay, I'm doing a supply. Do max supply. Let's wait for that to finish. So I've done the approval on Tectonic. I've done the supply of USDC to Tectonic. Should be done. Okay, now on my dashboard. So what I'm showing you is the risk-free option. Yeah. So what you can do on the Gaur website is they have a zap in, right? So you can go to the bottom here, it shows you both the LP pairs. So you can zap in with Cro. So you don't actually need to individually go and buy Gaur or ETH or G-Share, or you do need Cro. You can just zap in with Cro into either of these 2 LPs. Simplest thing, yeah? And when you're zapped in, you can go to the farming aspect and have all these LPs available. This is the highest reward at the moment, then that. So if you want to, this is higher risk, but you get higher APY. This is basically farming ETH. And that is if 2 single stake, or if you want single stake. Now, what I can do with what I was doing at Tectonic, then what I was saying is then you can just borrow some Cro. So where are we? Go borrow, go max. I'm going to enable my collateral. There we go. There is a case where you would want to borrow directly ETH or otherwise, right? That's if you were concerned about outperformance. So basically, because I'm borrowing Cro, I'm shorting Cro versus USDC, sort of, yeah? Because my debt will be in Cro. I can probably repay my debt in Cro, which is fine, but effectively I'm shorting. Or I'm delta neutral, right? Because I've got a supplied USDC, I'll supply USDC per se, and then I'm just taking a loan out on Cro. So we were going to demonstrate the zapping. If you wanted to, you could borrow ETH. Yeah, so you could borrow ETH and then build a Gaur ETH LP. Yeah? but I'm going to show you the zap in. So I'm going to go for this. So it just takes the crow. So don't take all your crow. We will just take 10 and go, let's go. We'll zap in the G-share crow. Damn, Kronos is so fast today. And we'll do 10 for Gaur.F. Thanks, Elisa. So now I'll have two LPs. Yeah, so I'll have an LP for Gaur.F. So Gaur is pegged to F, and I also have a G-share crow, which has higher APR. So then if I look here, I can either approve here directly on the site, and I should get that APR, which is paid in G-share. Yeah, or I can go to Yield Wolf. There is my LP, so I've just gone to Gaur.Money, and then I've zapped in those two, right? Just to kind of see, right? So then I can just go max. It's detected my LP. It'll pay me 0.58% today at 699.20 APR suggested. I do need to approve. And then I deposit. And that's all there is to it. So you're earning 0.5%, 8% a day. Your risk is if Crows significantly outperforms at the moment. Yeah. So if your G-share Crow LP increases, then you're making money. If F increases, you're making money. The only case in which you need to readjust is if Crow significantly outperforms. It's very unlikely that you will be down, because you can always dissolve that LP back into Crow and then repay your Crow debt. Yeah, so that is low risk 0.5% a day, which is pretty good. Yeah, you know, with this, it's fairly low risk. This would take about 20K to reach peg, in which case those APRs will pop. Yeah. So in terms of, you know, on the risk spectrum, this is incredibly low. Just the barrier to entry with Gaur has been, it's on the opposite side of a chain. Yeah. So if you know how to do this, just flip some BNB or whatever from Kronos through to or the other way around, BSC through to Kronos. You can do BNB, you can do whatever. And you can always flip it on Firebird. So Firebird will work on both chains. Yeah. And then you're away. And like I said, you can either take a risk, and as I said, at the moment, ETH is looking bullish on the 4-hour at least, or you can do risk-free and just lend through to either Annex or Tectonic, and then borrow either Crow, or you can borrow ETH if you want to be semi-exposed to ETH. Whatever the case is, you borrow the thing that you're probably most bearish on. Yeah? So if you're more bearish on ETH, then you borrow ETH. If you're more bearish on Crow, then you borrow Crow. Personally, I'd be more bullish on ETH versus Crow. So for me, lending USDC through to Tectonic and then borrowing Crow to zap into a Gaur.F thing that's paying 0.5% a day is pretty low risk. You know? But yeah, it's up to you. It's up to your mind, yeah, what you consider to do. This is called semi-delta neutral yield farming. Yeah? So with higher APRs, it can work really well as long as it's stable, and this is stable. Yeah? So this works well. So it's only if it like flies out of kilter, then it becomes a pain. But I mean, if it's paying like 0.5% a day up with upside potential, because it's 0.52, so halfway down from peg, low risk. I can say that hand on heart. Okay, thanks very much. I hope that's helpful for you.